Hey everybody, how's it going? Well, welcome back. It's our time together this week. That's right, a whole week has passed. Can you believe it? I know. It's amazing. It really is. Time does fly. It really, really does. But we're out here burning the old Liberty Cold Blast made by C.T. Ham. I really like this thing. It's easily one of my favorite Cold Blast lanterns currently. It's going to go nowhere. It just has the look, the beautiful look that I enjoy. The as found original, untampered with patina, with the old red Japanning and everything, and of course the dirty globe and the spring gripped bail. Just really neat piece. Anyway, hope everybody's having a good week so far. I've been having a decent week. It's actually been quite nice. No complaints. This last weekend was really special. Went back to the Queen Mary with my lady, and it was a wonderful, special time. It really was. And we danced our little shoes off, had a great night dancing to Alex Mendham's orchestra. Now, for anyone out there, subscribers of mine, that enjoy music of the 30s and 40s, big band, swing, whatever, you know, however you want to cut it, but Alex Mendham's Orchestra is a contemporary band that does a lot of the 1930s covers and a lot of the obscure ones. And he has an overflowing book of wonderful, obscure, and standard big band pieces from the 30s. A lot of hotel orchestra stuff and some, movie standards as well from the 30s. So if you want to have an experience and enjoy a band that plays authentic 1930s arrangements, it would be his band. You can see his band live at the Queen Mary in Long Beach once a month. If you go online and check out the schedule, you'll see his list of events on the Queen Mary, and he's been playing most months now. Some months he takes off because he's in England again. He's originally from there, and he has another band that he's formed that's his original band in England, and they do engagements there. Or he'll be here doing other engagements at different clubs and different venues, as well as the Queen Mary. But yeah, for those who like authentic 30s dance band music, go to the Queen Mary and see him live there next August. Well, not next August, this August. The end of the month, the 30th, will be his next engagement on the Queen Mary. So definitely check him out if you can, or if you want to just see what the band's all about, check him out on YouTube. You can look up Alex Mendham on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, and you'll find him and his orchestra. So yeah, fun stuff. Love dancing to his band. He plays great arrangements, and he's good musicians, and they know what they're doing. They all are very seasoned in that style of jazz, pre-war style. Yeah. Well, that being said, let's get into the content here. Now, as you could see plainly by the title of this video, we're going to be discussing something I don't really know too much about. And I know that there's a good handful or more of you guys out there that appreciate the pressure stuff. So I wanted to talk about the one and only pressure lantern that I own. And here it is. It's a late 40s 242C single mantle, and this little guy here is a very special little lantern, and I'll tell you, it's in very nice shape, original paint, the enamel, baked enamel on the hat there is actually in really good shape. I think there's only maybe one or two chips, but it's exquisite. It's a very nice lantern, and everything works. Now, where did I get this thing? Rob, did you buy it? Why would you buy that? You're a wick guy. Yes, I am a wick guy. I love my wick tubulars. They're my favorite. However, this was a gift. An old friend of mine, he dropped it off. Says, "Oh, this was my father's, and he used to use it camping and all this stuff, and I don't have a use for it. I don't have a need for it." I was like, "He's giving me his father's Coleman? Okay. Sure." I was like, well, okay, sure. I might as well have one Coleman in the collection, right? Why not? Well, I showed it to my friend Sean Jackson. Shout out to Vermont, Mr. Jackson out there. He a good friend of mine. I did a video with him actually, out in Vermont. But anyways, he's into Coleman's as well. I actually influenced him with wick lanterns, but he's definitely more so a Coleman collector or Coleman expert than anything else. Well, plenty of things, but when it comes to lighting, this is his wheelhouse for sure. The 242C, I believe, I want to say it came out around 1936, 37, and it became one of the greatest lanterns that Coleman ever made. Yeah, I know. It's very simplistic in design. There's very little to go wrong with it, and it just has a single mantle, and it makes about 500 candle power or so, give or take, right around there. It's bright. It's very bright. And, I first used this back in 2022, and I did a camp out up at Crystal Lake for my birthday, and my friend Steve Young out there in San Dimas, shout out to Steve, he got me this mica shade. Now, I could have easily found a glass replacement for this. It came to me without a shade or a globe. So I was like, well, I can't use it without that. I need to have that. It's always good to have, the shade or globe for one of these guys, or any lantern in general. But he knew a guy that made these mica shades, so I got one. And I really like the look of it because it does make it look pre-war. It looks earlier. And it was an option. You could get one of these shades for this at the time, as well as the glass. The Corning, I think it was a Pyrex. Yeah, Pyrex globe. But anyways, this thing is really cool, and it works perfectly. And it's very easy to maintain and very easy to light. I'm not going to light this because it'll be, but you guys know, you Coleman guys know what you're doing. You guys know how to light these, so you don't need to see it lit. But, it's interesting because I liked using it camping, even though I bring a bunch of wick lanterns. Having this near the stove so I can see what I'm cooking is definitely very, it's very good to have one. So you see what you're doing. They provide a lot of light, and they really light up a camp spot. And, it's very white light, and it's nice. And you can light up an area very well, and everyone can see exactly what's happening. So it's good when you need a lot of light. And when I go camping, of course, I like to have everything very moody and kind of dim and cozy. You have a nice campfire, you have some nice tubulars, and everything's very nice. And as I said, when I camp and I cook, I'm now sold. I'm going to take this next time I go to Crystal Lake and use it for cooking and everything. So if I cook after dark, that's the trick. If you cook during the day or in the evening before the sun goes down, then it's fine. But yeah, it's good to have one of these on hand if you need a lot of light, if you need to go out and find some more firewood or whatever. It's good to have one of these, definitely. But this thing came in very handy in January. How do you say? Why? Well, remember those fires we had back in January? The Eaton Canyon fire and the Malibu and Palisade fire that devastated Southern California. Yeah, well, we had no power here for several days. And our property and the entire block and around my neighborhood was completely dark because of no power. And that got a little concerning because, when you don't have power, you don't have a way to light your area, then there can be possibilities of looters, people that are looking to break into homes and cause harm and damage and whatnot. Get out of here, stupid fly. Shoot. Shoo, fly. Apple pan dowdy. All right. But anyways, yeah, you get it. So I wanted to light the area. And I was like, you know what? I have a Coleman. And the winds were not blowing at all. It was just we were in the throes of this, SCE power struggle. And so I lit this thing, and I hung it in the front yard, and oh my gosh, it lit the whole courtyard up and gave a lot of light, and it really was really amazing. It was great because I think it made everybody feel a little more comfortable. I hope that it did. I didn't really get any feedback, but I think a lot of people were very happy to have this lighting the area so it wasn't so dark. We just also had a little bit of a power outage a couple of weeks ago, and it just yeah, it was late on a Tuesday night or something like that, or Thursday night. I forget which exactly. But the power just like dink, just turned off. I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, sweet, great, wonderful. So I went out of the garage and got this guy out again and pumped it up and lit it and hung it out in the front yard and let it burn most of the evening. And, it created that nice atmosphere, and it lit up everything. So if anybody was walking around and saw no power on, then, it was definitely a beacon of like, kind of, we're home. But it's a great piece. It's a nice lantern. Now I've often teased some of you Coleman guys out there. I know. I hope you took it in the spirit that I was intending it. Now, I often like to toy around with some of you guys. I was like, well, lanterns are supposed to be seen and not heard. And I say that because these things do hiss. They do have a sound. And because it's white gas under pressure, and it's burning on the mantle there. And it's a really interesting design how these things work. It really is. And I mean, in all sense, they are tubular lanterns because they have air tubes. A generator and everything. It's a different method, different design entirely, but you could say easily that this is a tubular lantern as well because it uses air tubes just like a wick lantern. Different delivery, different, style, of course, but yeah. Now you have to pump these things up, of course. You give it a little twist and give it about 25, 30 pumps or so, maybe a little bit more depending. And then you light it, and then the wick will catch, or the mantle, and then you just have this pure white light. You don't want to really stare at it too long because once it gets going, it's very bright. You'll see the white dot just floating around in front of your eyes for a while. But yeah, 500 candle power. That's pretty spicy. That's a pretty bright light. And some people are afraid of these, and I was a little apprehensive too. And some of you recalled me making fun of them blowing up and causing more damage than providing light. But, it was all fun. I didn't mean that, really. I just like to, Well, you guys come at me sometimes about these not being bright enough, and I was like, oh, yeah, well, we go back and forth. And it's all in good fun. It's what we do. It's what us men do. We like to give each other a hard time. But, yeah, this thing is pretty cool. It's got this nice brass. Is this brass? I want to say it is. I think it is. Yeah, this little finial here, they're brass. But yeah, this is in pretty good shape. The black enamel underneath is in really nice shape. This thing has got very low mileage, but even though it was used quite a bit by my friend's father, who used it in the era, in the 40s, in the 50s and whatever. But yeah, these things are kind of fun. And wick lanterns, I love them, of course. They're definitely my favorite. But, these are just very basic. There's very little to go wrong with this thing. I mean, look at this. It's all cast metal, and these are brass. And it's just, you can't go wrong with one of these. So if you really need a lot of light, get yourself one of these. And a lot of the Coleman guys will agree that there isn't a more simple and more reliable pressure lantern. Is the 242C, or 242 series in general. Yeah, that's true. And I'm inclined to agree with them. It's true. I know. Rob, what are you talking about? Why are you doing Coleman content? Well, why not? Why hate on anything? I'm going to hate on this thing because it doesn't want to slide right in the spot here. There we go. But yeah, it's a great lantern. I have a Coleman stove. I have a Coleman stove that's about the same era as this guy. Yeah, I have the Coleman stove, 425C, I think it was. Yeah, but they're great. The stoves are great. The lanterns are great. Now, I understand that the Coleman first came out pretty early. I think it was early 1900s. And I've seen pictures of the first Coleman lantern, and they are really big. They look kind of like big old huge round globes, and they go for thousands of dollars sometimes. They're very rare, and they're very expensive, especially amongst the Coleman community. They're very sought after. But you can get most Coleman lanterns from the 20s, 30s, 40s. You know, some of them are expensive because they are beautiful and they work very well, and they're restored and whatnot, and they will fetch a good price. Now, Coleman collectors, they're a very loyal, tight-knit group, and they have their interests are all different, different runs, different manufacturing runs, and a lot of guys have many of the same lanterns that are all different manufacturing runs, different years, different sequences and everything. Now, I'm not really all that savvy with the Coleman world, but I do know some people that are Coleman collectors. Like I mentioned, a shout out to Steve Young. He definitely is one. He used to repair Coleman equipment and lanterns and stoves at one of the surplus stores over in Pomona on Gary Avenue. I think it's M&I. Yeah, so he's very proficient in maintenance of these things, and this is definitely was one of his first passions when it came to lanterns, was Coleman lanterns and also gas stoves. He's got several gas stoves, and they're really nice. They work great. Actually, the one I have, I got from him, and I've taken it camping so many times, and I've taken it to the Moon Eyes car show, and it's just nice to have a Coleman stove just to make coffee and some light breakfast material and stuff like that. So they're very convenient. They're very convenient, and they work wonderfully. But yeah, Coleman. Originally American made. They're not American made anymore. They're out of Wichita, Kansas originally. And, they've made a high quality product. Very much so. Now, some guys have different variants of this that were more expensive. They have a brass fount. Some of them were nickel plated. And you have the green, hat up here with nickel plate, brass founts. Now, it's just cool stuff. It's really neat. This has a brass fountain as well, but it's painted green. I could strip it and polish the brass if I wanted to, but I don't want to because this is the original green paint, and it's worth more original than not. Yeah, it is. That's my opinion. That's how I see things. Now, I plan on taking this to Crystal Lake next time I go, and I'm still talking about September. And did you hear that? Wow, someone's grumpy. Anyways. Well, my lady has voiced her desire to go to Crystal Lake and do a one-nighter. So that is in the plan. Now, she has a very interesting schedule. She has to kind of plan in advance. So I said, tell you what, my schedule is very flexible. I work at Griffith, worked for the city of LA, and it's a flexible schedule. I can kind of tailor my days how I see fit, and whatever works for my employers. So I have flexibility. So I just, you decide what week you want to do this trip, and you clear it, and you let me know, and then I will clear my schedule, and we'll do at least a one-nighter up at Crystal. So with that being said, we're going to go back. We're going to go to Crystal Lake, and I'm going to finally get a camp out this year. Fingers crossed. Yeah, it's wonderful up there. I miss it. I haven't been camping up there since 22. I know. In 23, there was a lot of things going on. Didn't get camping. Wanted to, but I didn't. But I've been up there. You've seen the videos. I've made it up there, but I haven't stayed the night since 22. So it's time to get up there, get the Dodge all fueled up and ready to go, and take all the accoutrements up to Crystal Lake and do a nice one-nighter, hopefully two. If I could do a two-nighter, that would be even better. That would be fantastic. But I'd settle for one for sure. So just want to go up there, spend the day, set up the tent, and then camp, and spend the night, and then get up early in the morning and make a nice breakfast and make coffee and just enjoy the early morning vibe at 6,000 feet. And that's definitely something I'm looking forward to. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed this installment this week. Hope you enjoyed the Coleman. Yeah, maybe next time I'll light it, but maybe not until it's cooler Or maybe if it's dark, maybe I'll do a video by Coleman lantern light. How about that? What do you think of that? Maybe I'll do one at night, and I'll have this going so you can actually hear it and enjoy that. So yeah, maybe I'll do a video of me lighting it and sitting out in the yard doing a video with this guy, and then you can see how much it lights up. It'll probably be too bright for the camera. It look like nuclear blast, right? Yeah. But anyways, this one is going out to you, Coleman guys. I know you're out there. I know you're subscribers as well. So yeah, it's a good design. It's a great lantern. I see why you guys really like your Colemans. They're quality, and they make plenty of light. So when you need a lot of light, these are definitely very handy. Absolutely. So with that being said, thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for continuing to support and subscribe to the channel. And just remember to keep ringing that little like button there. Just keep hitting that. Just keep hitting the like button, okay? It helps the algorithms, helps my channel get more exposure. And also comment. I really have been enjoying your comments, guys. For those who have. It's not many. It's more than it has been. But I really appreciate seeing your feedback about the content. And I try and reply and react to it as well. So it's great. Thanks so much. It means a lot. So with that being said, see you guys next week. And we'll have something else to share, and I'm sure. And it will be great. So have a great weekend. And we'll see you in a week's time. Okay, bye. Sit, boo-boo, sit. Good dog.